Well, hey, everybody, I'm Chris Joslin with the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum in Owensboro, Kentucky. And on behalf of the Visit Owensboro, I'm talking with Jenny Tolman today. And Jenny is a Nashville based songwriter, and she'll be featured here at the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum coming up April the 15th as part of our monthly songwriter series called the Nashville Songwriter, and it's presented by Jago Home. So Jenny will be featured this month with Chris Beard and Joel Shoemake, and tickets are on sale still at bluegrasshall.org or here at the museum at the box office. So welcome, Jenny. We're really excited about hosting you here on April the 15th.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to come. It's going to be a good time.
Well, Jenny, this is usually the part where I say, now you're based in Nashville, but you're not from Tennessee. Tell us where you're from, but that's not your story. I mean, you grew up in Nashville, so you're chasing your dreams right there in your
born and raised.
Tell us a little bit about your story. I mean, what led you to a career in music? What was the path for you personally?
Yeah, so my dad was actually a singer back in the 80s, and so that's how I ended up being born in Nashville, was that he had come to Nashville for music. So one way or another, my family ended up here because of country music. And so, you know, having him be in the music industry, and he was in a vocal quartet called the Indian River Boys, and they were actually put together, long story short, by Burt Reynolds nonetheless. And so they went from LA to Nashville and ended up sticking around in Nashville, and sang on Garth's No Fences album and did a lot of really cool stuff. But eventually, like most groups do, they ended up separating, and he was like, you know, I have another daughter. My older sister was born, and he was like, you know, I guess I should probably switch to the business side and make some money for the family. So, you know, he still produces corporate events and hires entertainment and does stuff like that. So I've still grown up around the music industry my entire life, which I was really lucky because, you know, most people, I'm so amazed that they moved to Nashville, because I'm like, I would be terrified if I had to leave everything. So I'm always so impressed with everybody that moves here, because, you know, I had it lucky. You know, I love music. It's what I've always wanted to do, and I was born in the perfect place to do it. So it's definitely been a blessing.
That's interesting. So you're like a second generation of that story of I moved to Nashville from someplace else and left hearth and home because I wanted to chase my dreams. I think that's great. Hey, I know that you're driven by the fact that music, really kind of using your own words, combines some things that you really love. You're able to sing, you're able to play, you're able to write songs too. So really all your strengths and your passions combined in what you're doing. Now, can you give us a little peek into maybe your creative process? I mean, what does it look like for you? How do things get done for Jenny Tolman creatively?
Yeah, so, you know, it's different all the time, but I do have a little quirky place in my mind that I like to go to called Jennyville. And I actually created this imaginary world with my producer, Dave Brainerd, a few years back when we had just started working together and writing together. And we started noticing that a lot of these characters that we were writing about seemed to keep coming back and have more of their stories being told and kind of this continuous linear existence. And so Dave was like, well, what if we actually made up an imaginary world, and that's like where we went in our heads every time we wanted to write? And I was like, okay, I guess we could do that. And he's like, what if we call it Jennyville? And I was like, Jennyville? That's a little presumptuous of me, don't you think? But, you know, I was like, well, if it's just where we go in our heads to write, then I guess that's, you know, we can be weird and have creative fun. And so it turned into something very like organically that we would use in everyday language. We would see somebody walking down the street, or something would happen to us, or we would hear a story and we would just be like, oh my gosh, that's so Jennyville. And so eventually I started realizing, you know, this is the way that we're being creative, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So it might actually be really fun to include everybody in it as well and kind of let them in on this secret world that we've created. And so Jennyville is actually the basis of my album, There Goes the Neighborhood. All of the characters running around in there are running around in Jennyville. And so it's just been a really fun creative process to bring along fans into Jennyville and, continuing that crazy little world where we get to express ourselves through other characters. It's really fun.
That's funny. That's so Jennyville. I am from Nashville, so
Oh, no.
my wife and I would bump into Keith Urban in the frozen food section at the grocery
Yeah.
store. We'd say, "That's so Nashville."
Yeah.
So I'm sure now when you and your songwriting partners see something quirky that you might want to write about, you say, "That's so Jennyville. Let's get back to the house and grab a guitar." That's
Yeah.
awesome. Hey, I know for folks who are thinking about coming to the Nashville Songwriter here on the 15th, they some of them may not know exactly what this night's all about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know what a Rider in the Round is. You do that as part of the culture
Yep.
where you live. Can you tell people what that is? Can you explain that concept? What's going to happen here when you and Chris Beard and Joel Shoemake show up here on April 15th? What's a Rider in the Round?
So a writer's night is something that's very popular in Nashville. You can see them almost every night that you're here. But it's really unique because it's when multiple songwriters get together and we all take turns sharing the stories behind our songs, and then performing that song that goes with the story. And we all just kind of take turns, and it's generally set up in a round style, which just means you're taking turns and going around and the round. So it's just a really fun way to see the songwriters interact with each other too, because for some of us, we're hearing that song for the first time too, and we're getting to experience it just along with the audience as well on stage. So it's a really cool interaction between the writers themselves, but also the audience, because we're all kind of experiencing the same thing at the same time. And it's a really unique structure because you're getting a lot of really cool stories and really great songs all mixed into one night.
So it really is a peek into your creative process
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. I know we've had a writer a couple months ago who said, "I'm not sure if this one is finished yet. Tell me what you think." And I love that. And it was a great song. I said, "That one's done." So it is probably interesting to hear, I think, for our audience, the story behind the song, what motivated that, what was going on with you that day when you wrote the song, how the song has taken on a life of its own. I mean, just so many different angles. So it's a little bit of talking, a little bit of singing, and a peek into the creative process, which I think that will be fun. Speaking of the creative process, I know the last year has been unprecedented for all of us. Has that impacted your writing process? I mean, are you doing, are some of your writing appointments by Zoom? How has that impacted you in the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, I would say that 2020 definitely put a damper on my writing in a big way, because I know for me personally, I get so much inspiration from being on the road and traveling and performing shows and getting to meet new people all the time and experiencing different things. And so definitely, being cooped up in one place for so long kind of starts to stifle a little bit of that creativity. So that's why I'm very excited to be coming to Owensboro and to, start getting back on the road again, because my little creative brain is just itching to get some new ideas and some new inspiration.
Yeah, you got to have some new experiences, right? You can only write so many songs about being cooped up due to COVID.
That's right.
Hey, I'm going to ask a question. This is kind of a softball that you're going to hit out of the park. But during COVID, outside of songwriting and music, what else have you been cooking up with all this time at home?
I see what you did there. So throughout the stay-at-home process, speaking of stifled creativity, I was like, well, what can I do that is a creative outlet that's still somewhat me getting to entertain people and something that I love to do? And so I started a cooking show where I cook and I bake, gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, because I'm all those things free. I'm no fun at all.
Complicated.
Yeah, I had to start doing it like 10 years ago before it was way cool. So I love that it's trendy now because it really helps me out. But, 10 years ago, I was a freshman in high school being like, what can I eat? I can't eat anything. And so my mom and I actually did it together, and we're forced to learn how to make a lot of things that we couldn't have anymore. And so throughout that process, I just really fell in love with cooking and baking, and it really is just another creative outlet. So we started the Quarantine Kitchen, which has now morphed into Jenny's Hey Good Cookin' Kitchen, because we're leaving that quarantine branding behind. We're ready to start life.
I love that. So are these videos on your YouTube channel? Or are they at your website, jennytolman.com? Where can folks check out these?
You can find my cooking show on YouTube if you just type in Jenny Tolman, Hey Good Cookin', or Quarantine Kitchen, depending on what episode you're looking for. But it's also on my social media, Instagram and Facebook. You'll find them there too as well.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, you mentioned this concept about Jennyville. I know you released a record in 2020, and you've really caught the attention of a lot of people in Nashville and beyond about your quirky little stories about Jennyville. Can you give us a little sneak peek about what folks can expect on the 15th? And it can be from the world of Jennyville or just anything else that you might want to share.
Yeah. I'll give you a little taste of the title track to the album, There Goes the Neighborhood. So this will introduce you to a few different characters that you're going to meet in Jennyville. Miss Adeline peeked out the curtains, and what did she see but a Penske truck parked across the street? A shirtless hunk with a couch in his hands and sunshine glistening off his washboard axe. That ain't good. There goes the neighborhood. There goes the neighborhood. His real estate lady was Emma Jean, whose best friend Debbie is the gossip queen. They got the housewives already licking their lips for a 6'1" single income, no kids. That ain't good. There goes the neighborhood. There goes the neighborhood. Well, Bobby's in her booty shorts jogging on by. She must have made a loop around at least 10 times. Who's that putting on too much pretty? It's the high-class white trash welcoming committee. That ain't good. There goes the neighborhood. There goes the neighborhood. And you're going to want to stick around for the ending, because it's a surprise ending that'll be coming at you.
Oh, gosh. The white trash conclusion. You'll have to be here on the 15th to see that. I tell you, once this interview gets out, I'm sure Miranda Lambert will have a hold on that by the end of the day. That's awesome.
Hey, that's fine with me.
Yeah, music's supposed to be fun, right? That's fun. That's great. Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to hear the ending of that one and all the other songs that you have planned, and Chris and Joel, and I assume you guys have worked together or know each other in some form or fashion.
I know Chris really well. So actually, Dave Brainerd, my producer, produced a couple sides on Chris as well, but I haven't met Joel yet, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's right. Well, something, a new wrinkle, which is good for the creative process too. So
absolutely.
Hey, check out Jenny Tolman at her website, jennytolman.com, and all her social platforms, including YouTube, and check out her music and the cooking show. But most importantly, check out her music live here at the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum, April the 15th. And the event begins at 7 p.m. You get tickets at bluegrasshall.org, or just come down here to the museum and somebody can help you out and fix you up with tickets. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I appreciate Mark Calitri and everybody at Visit Owensboro for giving us the opportunity to visit with Jenny today. And we certainly look forward to seeing her with Chris Beard, Joel Shoemake here on the 15th. Jenny, thanks so much for being with us today. It's great to visit with you. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. We'll see everybody here on April the 15th for the Nashville Songwriter, presented by Jago Holmes. Thanks.